Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. You are watching the Rangers Journal, and this is the Lowdown, your bite-sized little snippets of information about our upcoming opponents, who in this case are Dundee in the SPL. Coming off a great European result during the week against Victoria Pleasant, 3-0 victory that should hopefully see us comfortably be able to see out the second leg and into the playoff round of the Champions League. Martin has been rightly praised for making some big decisions, making big changes that really looked like they had a huge effect on the team in that match. Will we see that carried into this game? That is now the big question. We've seen Rangers playing well before in European competition after dropping points in domestic competition, and so we now need to see some of those improvements in our domestic games as well, so that we can see that this isn't just the same pattern replicating, but new things indeed happening under the Martin Revolution and the new team. So, in order for that, let's go through our usual motions and have a look at the form of the teams coming into this game. Rangers, as you see, 3 draws and 2 wins in our last 5. That includes the Panathinaikos matches and Pleasant games. So, some good results in there, and in terms of total tie combinations, and our draw against Middlesbrough, which obviously was still a friendly, and our game against Motherwell, where we've dropped points. Dundee are coming into this not in quite as good a condition. They've got a new manager now in Stephen Pressley, and life has started off difficultly for him in the League Cup. They've lost to both Airdrie and Alloa in the competition before comfortable victories against Pontypridd Rose and Montrose. They started their SPFL campaign with a loss to Hibs in a game that seems close by the scoreline, but that they were not really in. They had very few chances and real lack of creativity in that game, which is something that may wind up being a trend for them this season if things continue as they are. Head-to-head is heavily in Rangers' favour, so we should be going into this confident in a game that we should be looking to get a victory from. And we've got our first league set up as well here. Rangers currently sitting 9th after our score draw, with Dundee actually just one space behind us. They're the top of the group of teams who lost in their first games, so currently sitting on no points, with Rangers on 1. So what can we expect from Dundee going into the game? Well, they have been playing in sort of a 3-5-2 formation. This can change on and off the ball. They have occasionally drifted into a 4-4-2 when off the ball, which is not an uncommon strategy for a lot of teams at the moment. And we have seen them both really set those defenders back in a deep 5, whilst also having maybe the wing backs pushed further up in more of a sort of a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-1-2 when they've looked to be on the ball and attacking more. Against us, I would expect them to see more in the 5-3-2 formation, maybe the 4-4-2, which they could change as well depending on the substitutes they make. But that's the sort of the areas of formation that they have been playing in the games up till now. Obviously, not got a huge amount of games that we can go on at the moment, but this is what we have been seeing. They are playing quite compact and defensively, obviously with that sort of a back 5 there, trying to block out some of the more creative teams that they've been facing. As I say, that's obviously not been happening with those recent results. These are wing backs primarily for their width, and those players getting on the ball, pushing forward, and also putting in cross-field balls, particularly from the left side. Quite strong. He's quite strong with those types of passes. Their sitting midfielder drops deep, and often when they are in the more kind of 3 at the back, he'll drop all the way down into that 3 to make a back 4, with the wing back staying up to be part of the midfield. So that helps them with their midfielder dropping. They're using their passing ability to get themselves back out from those defensive positions. Although, as I say, the primary role for that is to be maintaining the defensive solidity while they try and get those more attacking wingers forward, but to little success thus far. They're not currently, as I say, carrying a strong attacking threat. Murray may be out for this game. He's a doubt for the match. We're not sure whether he's going to play. and he has obviously been a big outlet for them in terms of goals, and without him, that really sort of blunts their attack. In terms of their notable signings, obviously for the first round of games, Lowdowns this year, we're looking at notable signings for all the teams. So they've brought in Callum Jones, 24, as a centre mid. He's sort of a journeyman kind of player. He's a not quite a journeyman player, but a decent, experienced centre mid. The journeyman player is Dre Wright, who's coming in right midfield, 30 years old, played for quite a few teams now. Jan Danda, who you'll be familiar with, having played at Hearts previously, and they picked up him. He's a decent player, good passer of the ball, good attacking player, and hopefully for them anyway will help to bolster their creativity up top. And then they got a young player in Tony. I'm not sure if it's Yogan or Yogani, 19, a left winger, and striker Emil Aqua, who has been starting for them in their recent games, and does look like he's going to be a primary striker for them for the season. So a few players in there. So they have a smattering of other signings, but a lot of these players coming in from either other Scottish teams or teams down south, all signed on free transfers. In terms of their danger men, the obvious one is Simon Murray. To say, not sure if he's going to make the game or not, so we may be in luck and not have to face him. He has also scored against us last season. He got 16 goals and 3 assists in the previous year, played 38 out of 38 games. Did tend to get subbed off a couple of times, as you see those minutes, and up to the 34th. As he's high on his goals. He's good with his defensive actions for helping the team, but obviously not super creative. Doesn't get a lot of touches. That's Dundee tend to be more on the defensive side, but as I say, as a danger man with the goals that he can score. But the second one, the player we almost certainly will see, will be Finlay Robertson. Possibly, I've heard him called their best player now that Lyle Cameron has left. He got 4 assists last year. And will probably look to be one of their more creative outputs. He does create a lot of chances for the team. You can see they're 75th percentile in terms of chances created. And he's quite a versatile player, can play attacking, he plays on the centre and left, can go on to wing back if needed to cover injuries. So probably one of the players that we can look to try and keep quiet if we want to stifle the little creativity that I think the Dundee team will bring to the table. In terms of ourselves, going into this game, I think really the only big decision is probably with Aarons. He obviously picked up that slight knock in the previous game, which I believe was a dead leg. Russell Martin has said he is fit to play. He can be chosen, so it's obviously not too bad. But if there's any sort of injury there, we're so early in the season. I think with big games, European games to come, I would probably just keep him on the bench, just put in Tavernier. That's the upside to having a hugely experienced player as your backup, as it's really easy to put them in and out. So if Aarons has any kind of knock, I would just leave him on the bench for this game, given the opponent and given the game to come up. But he may well still play Aarons if he is fit, so we'll see. Could be either way on that one. Other than that, though, there's really not much reason to change the rest of the team. I'm a firm believer that we should be looking to try and play as consistent a team as possible for the first few weeks, to get them bedded into the system, get them wedded and used to one another and playing with one another, so that they can build those relationships, those little combinations, and start play to become automatic rather than them having to think about what's happening or where a player's going to be or what kind of runs they might make. So I basically picked an unchanged team apart from Tavernier. We can save the changes, I think, for the Alloa game. Keep the players as largely intact at the moment. Maybe make 1 or 2 changes, I suppose, in the European game because of the position that we're in. You could potentially decide to make some changes then, and maybe just go a little more defensive to shut up shop for the night. But as I say, I would like to see us play as close a similar team as possible and keep that momentum going for what we've got. Asgard still carrying a knock, Igman as well, and obviously Sterling with long-term injuries as well. But other than that, everyone else should be fit and available for selection. My game changer for this game will be Lyle Cameron returning to his previous team. Lyle had a great game the week with Pleasant or against Pleasant. He was just all over the pitch. He was enthusiastic. He was on the ball. His passing was good. His energy was good. Just everything you want to see from a young player breaking a team. He really put a marker down that he wants that shirt. And as I've been saying for a while now, I think he's a really exciting player. I think he could do good things for us, help with creating play, goals, assists, and all the above. Since last year, he got 9 goals and 5 assists, and that was for a struggling Dundee team who were fighting to not get relegated. And his goals and assists really contributed to that. So I'd love to see him build upon that and be a player that's going to contribute in those ways to ourselves. You can see from his attribute wheel there, he's really high percentiles in terms of touches, creating chances, shot attempts, goals. He's a good attacking player. And as I say, he really staked his claim to keep his jersey for this game against Pleasant. So, predictions for this game. Predicted 3-0 for Motherwell. I was sadly disappointed. 1-1 draw, so no result there. I'm going to say 3-0 again this time. Again, I'm looking at these games as games that we should be looking to try and get these kind of routine victories in. Dundee will not be as good as Motherwell. Motherwell have got a good team, a good manager in place. Dundee, not so sure about in either shape or form. Just not got quite the level of quality. I'm not sure that they've got the level of talent in their manager either. It's a bit of an odd decision in my estimations. One of those appointments I think we see too many of in Scottish football. Teams just go back to managers that maybe haven't always been that successful in the past, or have had success has been up and down. He's not had a great start to the year, so we need to see how it goes for him. But I'm going to say that we're going to continue to ride on this high, and that our quality will tell in this match, and that we'll get the 3-0 victory. So hopefully that indeed will be the case, and I'll be congratulating myself for a better prediction this time around, but we shall see. We'll be back with another lowdown probably on Monday for the Pleasant game, so that'll be a slightly different one. I'm going to see if I can get one of the guys to come on for that one. We'll talk a little bit about what we saw in the first leg and how that plays into the second leg for that lowdown there. Just leaves me to thank you for watching. Thank you to our sponsor, off to the matchigo.co.uk. You can see the bottom there. If you enter Journal 10 at the checkout, you can get 10% off. They do loads of really cool bespoke Rangers merchandise, as well as selling of match worn tops and other such things. So great for any gift giving occasions. If you have any birthdays or anything like that coming up, give them a look. Lots more coming up on the Rangers Journal channel. Please do keep tuned to us. We've got content coming out every day, every weekday, and at least one weekend day, with games at the moment coming thick and fast. We'll have a pre and post match for the Dundee game as well. So do tune into those later on. You've been listening to Doug. Thanks again. This has been the Lowdown, and this has been Rangers Journal. Just remember that every night is a Rangers Journal night. Cheers.